Ever wonder how some financial services and fintech leaders learned about money when they were kids? Well, we've asked them 4 important questions to get their answers, and you definitely will want to hear them. Join me today as we hear from Terry Parham, co-founder of Innovative Wealth Building. Hi everyone, Mac Gardner here, author of Motivate Your Money and the global best-selling book, The 4 Money Bears. I'm joined today by the one and only Mr. Terry Parham. Terry, thank you so much for joining us today. Please share with the audience a little bit about yourself and your amazing practice.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me today. I stumbled into the industry when I was in college and then stuck around for the last decade and a half or so. And it's ended up being the best thing I could have ever done. I did not go to college to be a financial advisor, but as I learned and experienced the career in real time, I thought, wow, what a place to be. I will never work in any other industry. So thank you for having me and excited to talk a little bit about money.
So, Terry, I am glad that you are as excited about this time today because you currently work with a lot of big people to help them manage their money and manage their finances. But I do know that you have 2 little people. And so the topic of today's conversation really is going to be early childhood financial education. And so the first question I'd like to ask you is, what's your earliest memory of money education?
For me, I think the earliest learning about money was around when I wanted to get something. So if I said, hey, mom or dad, can I have this new toy? We would go through the conversation of, well, 1, money doesn't grow on trees. 2, we can't try to keep up with the Joneses because we're not them. And 3, no, you can't have that. So growing up, I found that money was the thing you need in order to buy stuff or do stuff. And I never felt like we needed stuff, like we didn't have to worry about the bills. We always had plenty of food. But when it came to the wants, that was the portion where I saw that, hey, I guess I need more money in order to get what I want. So that was probably my earliest understanding or just lessons about money.
You know, I like that you talk about, choices and decisions. I heard a great line from an advisor when it talks about telling kids, we can't afford it. And she says, no, I don't share that with my children. I tell my children, we choose not to spend our money that way. So it sounds like growing up, you had some choices that were presented in front of you, and they were structured in a way where you had to make that decision. If the money wasn't there, you weren't buying it.
Yeah, exactly. If there wasn't enough money, you had to go get the money, or you had to go get on without the thing. And that's just kind of how I grew up. And I think my parents grew up in an environment where there wasn't a ton of money, so maybe more of a scarcity mindset. But yeah, that definitely played a big role in my life. And I think about what that was like for me, and when I raise my kids today, trying to walk that fine line and give them a balanced approach to how to think about money.
Yeah, we often hear about the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset, and how some of those mentalities and experiences growing up as a child can seep into your life as an adult and can be perpetuated onto your children. So we're talking about kids. Let's put some time there. How do you think, Terry, is the best way to teach young people money or money management?
Well, I'd say the way to not do it would be to just talk at them and just feed them or overfeed them information. Even adults, big people, have a limited capacity to take on information, but little people especially, I think, need to learn by being in the driver's seat, by having the opportunity to experiment, to explore, to play, to learn by doing, to be able to self-discover. I think that experiential learning is likely the best for kids. And I often do that with my children today. When the 4-year-old asks me a question, sometimes instead of saying the answer, I'll say, well, bud, what do you think is the right answer? And I'm blown away that more often than not, he does know the right answer. I don't know why he's even asking me. But if I always rush to give the answer instead of letting him learn how to think and learn how to come to his own conclusions, then I think I'd be doing him a disservice. So I think letting kids learn, giving them the chance to experiment, is the best way.
I couldn't agree with you more, Terry. It's in line with what we're doing with the For Money Bears Berryville, right? We've decided that gamifying the financial education experience, starting at that K through 5 space, meeting young people where they are, is the ability to have them experience what it's like to make money. That's the entrepreneurship side. And then once you've made it, how do you manage it in a way that allows you to develop these habits, develop these behaviors, and over time develop these traits, which we want as advisors. We would love it when clients come to us with these really, really, really high level problems, and not some of these other things where like, oh man, if only you'd started doing these things, then you could potentially have more money to invest, and maybe you're just looking for someone to streamline the portfolio, or maybe you already talked about life insurance, or maybe you've talked about all these different things. So I am a true believer, as you are, that having young people do it and do it over and over, and have something become routine, that's key in their success.
Yeah, agree 100%. Repetition is the mother of success. So with a game such as the one that you're developing, heck, screen time is not limited anymore. If
Yeah,
you learn
right.
to be an entrepreneur and to manage your money, go play. Play
All
a
day.
lot.
Make millions. Go make
Yeah,
millions.
right.
And something that I can't wait till we deploy the game, Terry, and I can't wait to get you and your kiddos a copy of it, because one of the things that we are really looking to measure with this game is the connectivity between the parent and the child experiencing a game together. I remember watching Barney with my kids, and if you start singing the "I love you," I start going to PTSD, because I know what's coming up is that purple dinosaur. But those are things that collectively the child and the parent have done together, and I think those experiences are amazing. I think really, really cool things can come from that co-sharing and that co-experiential experiences.
Yeah, agree 100%.
All right, last question for you, sir. Please, Terry, if you could share the best advice you've been given when it comes to money and managing it.
I think the best advice is probably twofold. Part one is to be open, sharing, to be open to the conversation, because money's not one of those things that you put in a hole somewhere and just leave and it gets better. These conversations have to be out in the open in order to collaborate and grow. So being willing to have the conversation, I think, is part one. Part two, I would say, is by failing to plan, you're planning to fail. So if a person doesn't have a clear money plan, they're maybe doing themselves a disservice. And unfortunately, there's no loss or lack of information out there. There's Google, there's books, there's ChatGPT. The problem is most of the advice out there is geared towards the generic average individual, but any person is not average. They're special and unique. So to get the best possible path for themselves and their family, they really need to have conversations to specify, to clarify, and build that perfect yellow brick road to what they want to accomplish and their definition of financial success.
And I couldn't have said that any better, Terry. No, seriously, man. I always say that financial planning is bringing the future into the present to do something about it today. That's all we do as planners. Is okay, what are you trying to get to? What's your goal? How do we get there? But that conversation aspect that you're talking about, man, so much more benefit could come to families that have more open conversation about their finances and the financial challenges as well as the financial successes, right, that are had on that journey, to be able to share with their kids and share with their family and share with other people that are in their circle. So look, Terry, I want to thank you, good sir, for your time, for sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences. Again, once this game rolls out, looking forward to getting it over to you and getting that feedback from the Parham family as to how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the time. Excited for the game, and just appreciate it so much, and hope that you have a good one.
Take care, sir. The journey continues. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you'll join us for our next engaging episode. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and visit www.the4moneybears.com.